Watching Alabama's WVUA News at 5.
Coming up in home team weather, big time storms happening south of Greensboro and Marion this afternoon. We'll have any storms around Tuscaloosa. And what about the rest of the forecast? Are more storms down the road? Home team weather is coming up.
The search for a missing teenager in Tuscaloosa County has come to a sad ending. We've got the latest on the case. And today marks the end of the Casey Anthony murder trial. Also the beginning of reaction to today's verdict. We've got the latest on the story. The entire nation is watching. We're glad you're with us tonight. I'm Lynn Brooks.
And I'm Terry Brewer. It is a sad ending to the search for a missing teenager in Tuscaloosa County.
15-year-old Darren Sawyer went missing Sunday afternoon while riding his four-wheeler, and authorities found his body this morning.
More from investigators is in our top story tonight at 5 o'clock. According to Tuscaloosa County Sheriff Ted Sexton, Sawyer was last seen riding on the trails near the Highway 69 mud track near Brandon School Road. Authorities say when Sawyer failed to check in with family, they started searching for him. Sexton says family notified the sheriff's office later that evening. The sheriff's aviation unit started searching for Sawyer that night. On Monday, officials conducted a ground search with the TAC team, ATV vehicles, volunteers, and aviation. Sexton says search teams located Sawyer's body this morning.
That he left the road. He was an inexperienced rider, is what we were told. Subsequent to leaving the road, he went about 75 feet into a densely wooded area where his body and the four-wheeler were found this morning.
The wreck is still under investigation by the Tuscaloosa County Sheriff's Office and the Tuscaloosa Metro Homicide Unit. On your education watch, the search for the next superintendent of the Tuscaloosa City Schools. Tomorrow night is your opportunity to meet the two candidates being considered for the position.
The school board is hosting a public forum for the two men. The candidates being considered are Dr. Paul McKendrick from Virginia, also Dr. Tony Lemaire Burks, the second from California. School board chair Dan Meisner says the public will be able to ask the candidates some questions, but the forum will be moderated and candidates will not be in the room at the same time. Now the forum is tomorrow night, 6 until 8 at Central High School on 15th Street. Meisner says the board will conduct final interviews with McKendrick and Burks Thursday night. With Alabama's new immigration law signed in June, people in West Alabama have some questions about exactly how it will affect lives here. Experts say immigrants make up about 12% of the population to move into West Alabama in recent years. The law that goes into effect September 1st has been described as strict. One part of the law mandates all employers to register in an e-verify system to ensure all their employees are legal. Supporters say that this could make sure wages won't drop dramatically, and some say the law can turn into a humanitarian issue that could cause racial profiling.
It's not humanitarian to select a group of people like this and target them in such a way as this law clearly does.
We worry that our legislators have done something that is unkind and harmful. We'll have to wait and see.
Here's what the new law will do. It allows police to arrest anyone suspected of being an illegal immigrant if they are stopped for any other reason. It also requires public schools to determine students' immigration status and makes it a crime to knowingly give an illegal immigrant a ride. This is the last week FEMA will have disaster recovery centers here in Tuscaloosa.
Starting next Monday, the DRCs will become disaster loan outreach centers for the Small Business Administration. FEMA spokesman Tim Tyson tells WVUA a FEMA representative will be at the centers to help people with the SBA applications. So far, FEMA has provided people in Tuscaloosa County with almost $14 million in grant money. The SBA has provided almost $11.5 million in loans. At FEMA's disaster recovery centers will be open regular hours this week, 7:30 a.m. until 6 p.m. They close Saturday at 6 o'clock. There are 2 locations, the McDonald Hughes Center on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard in Tuscaloosa and the American Legion Post on University Boulevard. On Monday, the SBA opens up their disaster loan outreach centers in the same locations. The hours will be Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. until 5 p.m.
Wiretaps and an FBI agent took center stage in the state's gambling corruption trial. The agent testified about phone calls between State Senator Quentin Ross and Victoryland casino owner Milton McGregor. The agent testified Ross did not get a campaign contribution from McGregor when he asked for one right before the state Senate passed the pro-gambling bill. Ross and McGregor are among 9 defendants in Alabama's gambling corruption trial. Defense attorneys say their clients never accepted any bribes. It is being called the trial of this century, and just 24 hours after receiving their instructions, the jury in the Casey Anthony murder trial reached a not guilty verdict.
But Anthony was found guilty of one of the accusations against her. Reporter Emily Schmidt has the latest on the verdict, watched around the country.
When day 2 of jury deliberations in the Casey Anthony trial got underway in Orlando Tuesday morning, an anxious-looking Casey Anthony arrived in court knowing that this could be the day she learned her fate. And it was.
Casey Marie Anthony, a jury of your peers, having found you not guilty as to the charge contained in count 1 of the indictment, murder in the first degree.
Deliberations took just over 10 hours. For the 12 men and women of the jury, it was literally a life or death decision, with a first-degree murder conviction punishable by the death penalty in the state of Florida. Throughout, prosecutors portrayed Casey Anthony as a selfish party girl who wanted to be freed from the burdens that come with raising a child.
She took her child, she took her life, and she put her in the trunk and forgot about her.
The defense, meanwhile, maintained she never harmed her daughter. They also consistently jabbed at the evidence presented by the prosecution to the jury.
Reasonable doubt lives here. It's throughout the case.
In Washington, I'm Emily Schmidt.
The verdict ends weeks of emotional testimony and the introduction of hundreds of pieces of evidence.